What's up guys, Sean here, Shock Surplus. I'm the founder and this is Bowman. He is the brains behind the operation. We have the mythical Fox Performance Elites for the Ford Bronco now. These things have been delayed now, what, at least 18 months?
Yeah, I think we first saw the part numbers release at SEMA 2021.
Yeah.
And so now we're finally getting them in 2023, so.
We have a lot of these on order and this was the first set to arrive, mainly because Bowman has a Bronco and these things are gonna go on that Bronco. We're really close to reaching that level of need out of our testing, but a bunch of different videos on Bowman's Bronco, what we're doing there, but expect to see these exact shocks go on to that really soon. But let's get into what these are. First thing that I noticed when we opened these up was these are aluminum body. All of Fox's Performance Elite shocks now are aluminum body. And one thing I've noticed, I don't know if this is the same case on other Performance Elites, but right here, this top cap on old factory series shocks was separate. It was basically a black aluminum top cap that went on to the main steel body. But now the whole thing is CNC. Honed the middle for all the internals. What else do you notice here different besides what we've seen so far on a lot of other shocks for the Bronco?
Probably the biggest thing is coil diameter is larger.
Yeah, that's new too.
Yeah, so you can get more supportive spring characteristics out of a wider diameter spring. That's why you see a lot of OEs go from a real small tapered spring at the bottom, you know, it tapers down real small at the bottom and it goes wide to the top hat, because you can get some more supportive spring action without it having to be that much stiffer. So it is like a common upgrade in the off-road community where, like, if you're racing and stuck to a 2.5-inch body where you normally take a 3-inch spring, a lot of people will modify them to take, on heavier applications, to take like a 3 or 3.5-inch spring like these. So I think that's a big change.
Is that going to be, so that might prove an issue in like changing out these springs if people want higher rated springs for heavier gear, faster speeds, or even, you know, more comfort. Some people put on softer springs for more comfort, right? So these definitely don't look like anything standard we've seen.
No, but they're still a flat ground universal style spring, so you could easily, for the front at least, change. The rear, it looks to be progressively wrapped, so it's not a linear rated spring, it doesn't look like. So there probably isn't gonna be an easy option to change to get the same, you know, action as the other ones. But the way Fox sets these up is they're kind of set up for lift or a little bit more lift, or you have preload to offset weight. So like these are set up for a minimum of 2.5 inches of lift on a 2-door, 2 inches on a 4-door. With a Sasquatch package, add an inch for if you don't, or add a 1/2 inch if you have the Badlands without the Sasquatch.
Layman's terms, if you got the black Haas 1.0 shocks, you're gonna see about 3 inches of lift out of the box, right?
Yeah, 3 on a 4-door, 3.5 on a 2-door.
And if you got the yellow Haas 2.0s, you're gonna see 2 inches of lift.
2 to 2.5. If it's a Sasquatch, it will be 2 to 2.5. If it's just a Badlands, you're looking at 2.5 to 3.
What about the 3.0 Fox series that are coming? Is that the same height as the Sasquatch? Or will it depend also?
Yeah, that'll depend also. So they will be most likely releasing a 3.0 because they have them on the Wild Track packages. And with the springless big, they could fit a 3-inch body in there. So they will, I would imagine ride heights will be similar when and if they release those parts. But, you know, just make it simple. Add an inch for a base model, add 1/2 inch for a Badlands.
High and low speed adjusters. If you're kind of new to the Fox world, you're looking for what is available for your Bronco so you can rip it off-road, you want some more lift. You know about Fox, but you don't really know too much about what Fox actually offers in the aftermarket. This is a dual speed compression adjuster. The orange adjusted right there affects low speed, low shaft speeds, people, not low vehicle speeds, shaft speeds, and this is high shaft speeds. So I'm gonna give my definition. Bowman's gonna have some additions. Low shaft speeds means pavement driving, easy dirt trails, forest service roads, where you're basically just sitting in the ride zone of the shock. The shaft isn't really doing much. So what this knob helps out with is body roll, nose dive, handling weight. If you're overlanding, overlanding gear, a lot of camping gear, stuff like that, weekend adventures with people on the thing. Making this firmer is going to reduce body roll, keep it tight. If you want it softer, you want just max comfort, you're rolling solo, you don't care about body roll, you just want to get squirrely, make it loose, max comfort. Be probably a little bit easier to slide it out because of that body roll chassis into those turns if you want. And then high speed, the high speed thing is to protect against the larger shaft speeds, those unexpected inputs when you're off-road and not paying attention. Kind of prevents bottom out of your suspension, not vehicle speeds. We're talking about shock shaft speeds. That's what this affects.
And the easiest way I like to explain it is if you do something, whether you hit the gas, the brakes, or steer it, and the car does something, that's low speed compression. If you run over something and the car does something, that's high speed compression. So the cool thing about the Fox is you can dial in a setup on the street that rides like a Cadillac, is nice and soft and plush, by having the high speed compression low, and then you can have your low speed compression up so it doesn't handle like a Cadillac. So you get the boaty ride without the boaty steering. Where you might want to flip that is off-road, probably going to be hitting bigger bumps than what you see on the street, so you'll need more support from the high speed compression side. But running too much low speed compression can, to a small degree, limit the tendency for the vehicle to want to articulate, because obviously in articulation, you're flexing, that's low speed. And at speeds, you can actually find that it's more difficult to load the suspension for grip. So you're going back to like sliding it out.
So that contradictory? Yeah.
It's not necessarily contradictory, it's set up. So like if I wanted it to be looser so it would slide more, I would probably soften up low speed compression on the front and leave the rear firm, or maybe even turn it up. So you can play with balance like that, but a lot of times off-road, since the grip levels are lower, you're relying on the chassis to load the tire because of the kinetic mass of the vehicle to load the tire to generate the grip. If you're running too much low speed compression, you hop on the brakes and it just slides. You hit the gas and it just spins. So having it be able to squat or dive or roll a little bit could be, beneficial to gaining more traction at, moderate speeds off-road as well.
How do these adjusters compare to others? Because we also talk about how whether it's Fox, whether it's King, whether it's Icon, Radflow, all these guys are optimizing and tuning for mid-speed support, where you're 50, 60, 60, 70 miles an hour through not the whoops, but the really, really gnarly stuff, and then they support their high-speed inputs with bump stops, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then their adjusters are kind of the mid-speed adjusters, but like Icon does affect low speed compression. I'm not too familiar. I haven't used King's adjusters that much, so can't speak on that. But Fox, low speed and high speed, in order to kind of really allow for that even more optimized mid-speed support, really. And fine tune from there.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, and so like an Icon is very much a mid-speed adjuster in that it's not necessarily targeted at mid-speed, but it's doing low speed and high speed at the same time. So whether it be body roll stiffness, squat under throttle, or bump stiffness, that adjuster is controlling both at the same time. The King is similar, but the first couple clicks are low speed only. So like the first 6 clicks or so are only low speed, and then after that it's hitting high speed and low speed. So having the Fox that can do both is really helpful, especially on a linearly valved shock like these. You'll see in our videos the Icons are digressively valved and they are tight. Like, you hook them into a corner and the chassis stays flat, but small bump sensitivity may not be as good as a linear shock. A linear valve shock like these will probably be more comfortable and maybe even more supportive over bigger hits, but they're going to be prone to a lot more sway, dive, and roll. By nature, they have less low-speed compression, so having this low-speed compression adjuster allows you to dial that in so you get the good handling that you might expect out of something like a Bilstein or an Icon, but you still get that small bump sensitivity and comfort that you get from a Fox or a King. We have a lot of customers who get Foxes and they occasionally complain about roll and sway. This low-speed compression adjuster, in tandem with the high-speed compression adjuster, really mitigates those issues while also providing better ride.
These bump stops, we were just talking about that. So you were saying these are about an inch longer on compression than a King.
Than a King, and probably the Icons as well, yeah.
You think there was a revision to help out fitting 37s without jacking up the fenders?
Yeah, so I don't know if that's 100% was one of the revisions. Don't quote us on that, but they definitely, yes, set these up to be a little longer when fully compressed to be able to really clear 37. They worked with Lauren Healy and Vaughn Gittin Jr. with the RTR race car teams and wanted to make sure that you could fit a 37. If you guys have ever seen the BDS Bronco, they have the early version of these on theirs, on the half cab one, and the fenders are smoked. So I think they might have changed that a little bit.
Okay.
But if you compare these to like the Icons, Icon says you can fit 37s, but you have to run a bump stop spacer, which they sell. These, they just set them up as, you know, so that you can't blow your fenders off, you know, if you
Gotcha.
have 37s.
They can be custom tuned. You want to make them softer, let's do it. You want to make them firmer, let's do it. I don't think you're going to need to make them firmer though. You want to run these things high speed, these things are going to be able to take a beating. And if you need any more high speed support, just get a 2.0 hydro bump, 2.5 inch hydro bump. On your, oh, I actually don't know where you set those up on the Bronco, but we're going to figure it out on yours.
There's a company who has one set up in the rear that's bolt on. In the front, I've looked at it, and there's probably room for one.
Okay.
You know, and even on these, I will say, you know, we haven't tried them yet, but I think there's enough range on this adjuster that unless I had a very specific build that was way outside of the range of what people normally do, I would probably leave them as they are and try them first. So that you can at least have a reference for tuning, because I think
exactly
Fox will have done such a good job with these, and especially with the adjuster, that for most people, I think they're going to be dialed. But you still have the option to further optimize it if you have a, you know, pretty particular setup.
Yeah, if you guys get these from us, we're doing 25% off any future service requirements, rebuilds, retunes, adding SDI electronic reservoirs, whatever you want. We're doing service discounts, and we've got a lot more of these inbound. So by the time you have this video, hopefully we've got 10, 20, 30 sets available, and then this set is going on your Bronco really soon.
Yeah, well, and if you already have an order in, check your tracking numbers, boys.
Thanks guys for watching. If you guys have any questions, want to get a pre-order in, looking for these for any other vehicle, Toyota Tacoma, Tundra, 4Runner, these are out already for a bunch of other platforms, but super excited that Fox has arrived for the Bronco. We'll see you guys on the trail, and check out all the Bronco review videos, because this is going to be stage probably 6 or 7 out of all the ones that we've already ran. So stay tuned. Catch you guys later. Thanks.